Here is what nobody tells you. While everyone obsesses over anti-American sentiment, and the internet is trying to convince Americans that they are unwelcome everywhere, there are at least 8 countries where Americans are not just accepted, they are appreciated. I experienced this personally. I was born in a pro-American nation, then moved to one that is even more welcoming to US citizens. I'm talking about places where you'll find statues honoring American presidents, locals who will thank you personally for what the USA has done for their country, and where being American opened doors that money can't buy. In one of these countries, it's not uncommon to see an American flag proudly displayed in people's living rooms. Each country's love affair with the US comes from a completely different reason, some based on security, others on economics, and some on shared history that changed the course of their nation forever. And if you are planning to move abroad, work remotely, or retire overseas, knowing these 8 countries could change everything. And we start with a country that will likely surprise you. Iran. Nah, I'm just joking, sorry. Lithuania. Lithuania holds a secret that most Americans don't know about. This tiny Baltic nation of just 2.8 million people has a bond to America because of one decision in the last century. Back in 1940, when the Soviet Union swallowed Lithuania, every major world power looked the other way. Britain moved their embassy, France updated their maps, and the world recognized Soviet control as the new normal. Every power except one, the United States, refused to recognize the Soviet annexation for 50 long years. While other countries moved on, America kept its Lithuanian embassy in Washington open for the entire Cold War. This was made official by a policy called the Violence Declaration, and America stuck to it, for Lithuanians living under Soviet occupation. This stance offered hope, as America represented the one country that still believed their nation had the right to exist. Today, this bond is stronger because of NATO. This alliance is vital for Lithuania, as it shares a border with Russia. Because of this, Lithuania spends more on its military per person than almost all NATO countries, except Greece, Latvia, the US, Estonia, and Poland. A large part of that money is used to buy US and military equipment. Between 2018 and 2022, America provided over $200 million in security funding to modernize Lithuanian forces. In 2022 alone, the US sent an additional $141 million in foreign military financing. Lithuania also hosts close to 1,000 American soldiers from the 3rd Infantry Division, with regular joint exercises like Defender 25 that shows this partnership in action. A 2019 poll found that 70% of Lithuanians hold favorable views of the United States. US government reports describe Lithuania as having very little anti-American sentiment compared to other European nations. And if you are surprised by the cultural connections, this is in good part due to the huge Lithuanian diaspora in the US, the country with the biggest number of Lithuanians abroad, with 3 times the amount of the second place. There is also another passion that unites both countries: basketball. Lithuanian players compete in American leagues, and former NBA stars also play the Lithuanian courts. In fact, it's one of the 5 European countries where football is not the dominant sport. For American expats, Lithuania offers something unique in Europe. English is widely spoken, and many Lithuanians have relatives or business connections in America, and US culture remains popular among younger generations. Now, one thing I realized is that despite living close to Lithuania, I never made a video about them, or Estonia, or Latvia. So if you want me to make a video about our neighbors, let me know in the comment section. Argentina, the radical economic realignment. 2 years ago, Argentina did something that surprised the entire world, and it has everything to do with how Americans are now treated there. This South American giant completely flipped its relationship with the United States in a matter of months. For decades, Argentina had a salty relationship with Washington, and governments that positioned themselves as critics of US foreign policy. They even were in the process of joining the BRICS. Then came 2023, and everything changed overnight with one man, President Javier Milei. When Milei took office in late 2023, he didn't just shift toward America, he went full throttle in his alignment with US policies. His administration immediately began requesting NATO global partner status in early 2024. Milei's government also moved to buy US-made F-16 fighter jets. And I guess one of the best ways to befriend America is to buy their weapons. This huge change was caused by pure economic desperation. Previous policies had failed for years, and the country faced inflation over 200% when Milei took office. The economy was so bad that voters, tired of the constant problems, were ready for drastic solutions. Milei bet everything on American-style capitalism and libertarian economics to save his nation. His pro-American foreign policy serves as a core component of his economic strategy designed to secure favorable trade terms and crucial support from the US-influenced IMF. A 2025 Pew Research Center poll revealed the political nature of this shift. Nearly 70% of Milei's La Libertad Avanza party supporters hold positive views of the United States, while only 37% of non-supporters share this sentiment. If we consider the entire population, 52% of all Argentinians hold positive views of the US, and just 30% have negative views. American expats are seen as representatives of the economic model Argentina wants to copy. Business opportunities have expanded as the government actively seeks American investment and expertise. Also, Argentina offers great quality of life for incredibly low prices. You can live there on less than $1,000 a month. But remember, this type of politically driven pro-Americanism can change as quickly as it appeared. The durability of Milei's pro-American policies depend entirely on whether his economic reforms succeed. Another disclaimer is that while many Argentinians have pro-American views, they are still quite hostile to the UK and Brits in general due to the war between them in the 80s. So do not make a posh accent when talking English, or you might be confused. The next country in this list is the place where I was born. But before review it, I have some really good news. My Expat Wealth and Lifestyle Compass, valued at $180, is yours free for a limited time. Receive our 74-page analysis of affordable cities in Spain, Italy, and France, our guide for zero-income tax countries that can save you up to $15,600, and the checklist that prevents costly mistakes. Don't let your chances go away. Scan this QR code now and join us for free. Brazil. Brazil's relationship with the United States is shaped by cultural magnetism mixed with politics and generational differences. Brazil is a nation of 220 million people that has maintained friendly ties with the United States for over 200 years, one of the most stable relationships in the Americas. America was one of the first nations to recognize Brazil's independence in 1822. World War II cemented this bond through actual combat. Brazil sent the Brazilian Expeditionary Force to fight alongside American troops in the Italian campaign. Brazilian soldiers died next to American soldiers. In Brazil, the pro-American feeling comes primarily from culture, not security needs like in Eastern Europe. American films, music, and brands dominate Brazilian markets. Brazilians often see America as a land of freedom, opportunity, and modernity. This image resonates strongly with Brazil's large middle class and young people. And here we go for our second point, generational differences. A 2025 Pew Research poll revealed that only 37% of Brazilians above 50 view America favorably, while 73% of those under 35 hold positive opinions about the United States. Older Brazilians were taught in school sociological views, based on the ideas of Paulo Freire, which, ironically, despite his anti-Americanism, was a Harvard scholar. Younger Brazilians, meanwhile, grew up consuming American digital media and entertainment, creating a natural cultural affinity. While I left Brazil many years ago, I still have contact with most of my friends, and the majority of them have pro-American views. Though many dislike that Americans call football a sport played with hands. In Brazil, people's political views often shape how they see the United States. Supporters of Jair Bolsonaro, particularly in the South, generally see the US as a symbol of freedom and a strong ally. In contrast, supporters of Lula da Silva, often concentrated in the northern regions, tend to have more mixed feelings, worrying about American foreign policy and economic power. So Brazil is quite pro-American in general. 56% of all Brazilians have a positive view of the US, and just 35% have a negative opinion. But if we separate by regions, I would say that in southern regions the pro-American sentiment is well above 60%. The good part is that the best places to live in Brazil, if one day you want to move there, are in the south, like the city of Florianópolis, which I cover in this video. A curiosity, the same duality you see with the US is also visible with another country, pro-Bolsonaro people tend to be anti-China, while Lula supporters are more friendly to China. South Korea. In South Korea, the term Blood Alliance explains the depth of their relationship with America. It comes from the Korean War, when American soldiers died defending a country most Americans could even find on a map. Over 36,000 American service members died between 1950 and 1953, fighting alongside South Korean forces against North Korean aggression. The sacrifice became deeply ingrained in South Korea's national memory. The war was not just another conflict, it was the moment Americans risked their lives to defend Korean independence. I visited Seoul a few years back, and I saw how they remember the US help. There is a statue of Harry Truman in Seoul specifically built to honor him for his decision to dispatch US forces during the Korean War. But that is not only about the past. America has in South Korea 28,500 troops at bases like Camp Humphreys to serve as a tripwire. Any attack on South Korea would automatically trigger American military response. The security element is still there. North Korea's nuclear threats keep the military partnership strong. In 2023, the alliance was formally upgraded to be nuclear-based, giving Seoul greater voice in nuclear planning and resuming port calls by American nuclear-armed submarines. South Korean companies supply critical components for American technology products, while American firms provide advanced manufacturing equipment to Korean factories. A 2025 Pew Research Center poll found that 61% of South Koreans hold favorable views of the United States. Even more impressive, 74% support the long-term stationing of American troops in their country. This level of support for foreign military presence is rare anywhere in the world. For American expats in South Korea, English teach positions remain popular. The next nation on our list is the place where I currently live in. And by the way, if you enjoy our videos with data-based info and the opinions from locals, please remember to click on the like and subscribe button. It's really important for us. Poland. Poland spends over 4% of its GDP on defense, the highest of any NATO country, with plans to reach 5% by 2026. The US government constantly praised the Poles as one of the few nations that fulfills its spending commitment in the NATO alliance. But this is not just about money. It's about a relationship built on over 100 years of American support at crucial moments. The story starts after World War I, when the US, unlike other hesitant European powers, was among the first to recognize Poland's independence in 1919. Then came the 1980s, when America supported the Solidarity movement that helped bring down communism. The US provided approximately $20 million in covert support to Solidarity between 1983 and 1991. This assistance including funding, equipment for printing underground newspapers, broadcasting equipment, etc. All of this was funneled through third parties to maintain secrecy. But Poles knew where the support came from. This help played an important role in the fall of communist regime in 1989. Today, with Russia next door making threats, Poland sees America as its most important security guarantor. And this is a two-way cooperation because Poland was one of the few European countries that helped the US in its campaigns in the Middle East. I live in Poland, and every year there is a huge military parade here, the biggest one in the European Union. And Polish soldiers parade together with American soldiers while American F-35 fighter jets cross the skies and people cheer. What makes Poland special is that the pro-American feeling exists across almost all political parties and social classes. A Pew Research Center poll from June 2025 found that 55% of Poles hold favorable views of the United States, one of the highest ratings in Europe. In Warsaw, you'll find both a statue honoring Ronald Reagan and one of the most important roundabouts in the capital is called the Ronald Reagan Roundabout. English is widely spoken in major cities, and Polish hospitality often extends naturally to Americans. However, be aware that Warsaw is a quite expensive city, more than Berlin, but there are some places in Poland where you can live in a palace, literally, for the rent you would pay for an apartment in the US. Albania. Albania has squares, monuments, and streets named after American presidents in almost every major city. The town of Ranza actually has a Donald Trump boulevard, and by the way, at a certain point, it crosses the George W. Bush Street. This small Balkan nation of just 2.8 million people has one of the most pro-American populations on Earth, and the reason goes back to a moment when America stepped in to save lives. The story traces back to 1999, when NATO bombs fell not on Albania, but on their neighbors in Yugoslavia. America led the 78-day air campaign that halted the war against the Albanian population in Kosovo. They appreciated more than just the military help. They saw America as a country that defends small nations from bigger ones. During the crisis, Albania took in hundreds of thousands of refugees from Kosovo and was a key base for aid work. The city of Fuša Kruja has a statue of George Bush. Bush visited the city and even went to the Bush Bar. The chairs where he and his wife sat are nowadays in exposition in the bar. American visitors to Albania report very friendly treatment from locals. English is widely spoken among the younger generation, and Albanian TV and music often feature Western influences, including American content. Tirana's universities have many American professors and exchange programs that strengthen cultural ties between the countries. On the street, locals are curious about U.S. travelers and eager to practice English. The strong Albanian diaspora in the U.S., especially Michigan and New York, also creates a bond since many locals have relatives living in America. Many of these Albanians living in the US support projects in their homeland, creating ongoing connections between the two countries. For American expats, Albania offers Mediterranean weather, low costs, and a population that genuinely celebrates your nationality. You can live comfortably on a modest budget while enjoying coastal access and mountain scenery. The country provides visa-free access for Americans staying up to 1 year for tourism purposes. The Philippines. The Philippines has a complex and unique relationship with America. It's the only place where American colonial history actually created long-term positive feelings toward the United States. America took control of the Philippines in 1898, but did something unusual. Instead of just extracting resources like typical colonial powers, America built schools, hospitals, and infrastructure through the islands. The American colonial model in the Philippines was much more similar to how the Portuguese treated Brazil than how the British treat their colonies in Africa. The U.S. colonial period from 1898 to 1946 introduced English as an official language and established a widespread public education system. Then came World War II, when Americans and Filipinos fought side by side against Japanese occupation. U.S. and Filipino soldiers fought together in desperate defense at Bataan and Corregidor. The U.S. fulfilled its promise of independence for the Philippines after the war, granting it in July 4, 1946. Today, this history combines with a modern strategic partnership against Chinese expansion in the South China Sea. A 2014 defense deal called EDCA lets more U.S. troops rotate through specific military bases in the Philippines. The number of sites has expanded, granting U.S. forces strategic access to locations facing the South China Sea and the Luzon Strait. In 2025, the U.S. is actively funding modernization of these sites, including construction of facilities at Naval Detachment Oyster Bay in Palawan. Filipinos consistently rank among the most pro-American populations in global polls, and 80% of all of them have positive views of the United States. Even during Rodrigo Duterte's presidency, when he adopted an anti-U.S. stance, a 2017 Pew poll still found a 78% favorability rating. One of the main avenues of the capital, Manila, honors an American president. William Howard Taft Avenue runs through the heart of the city. For American expats and retirees, the widespread teaching of English, a lower cost of living, and cultural familiarity make for a welcoming environment and easier integration. Kosovo, the newest nation's deepest gratitude. Kosovo has more statues of American leaders per capita than some American states. This tiny nation of just 1.9 million people exists today because of American military intervention in 1999. The 78-day bombing campaign led by America turned the war. At that time, nearly 1.5 million Kosovo Albanians had been forced to leave their homes. The gratitude is widespread and public. Some Kosovar families have stories of how the American intervention saved their lives and their community. I asked a local about their positive opinion on Americans, and this is what he told us. Open quote. Yeah, it's true. There is no other country in Europe that loves America more than Kosovo or Albania. I ironically see more USA flags here in Kosovo than when I went to visit the US. And guys, if you come to visit one day, make sure to tell people that you are an American. People will be even more friendly. End quote. Some families in Kosovo have American flags in their living rooms and portraits of American presidents hanging on their walls. You'll find these displays in private homes through the country, something rarely seen anywhere else in the world. Kosovo named a major boulevard Bill Clinton Boulevard and erected a golden statue in his honor. The capital city features a square named after former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright. Kosovo shows the highest U.S. leadership approval globally, with a plus 78 net approval rating, making it America's strongest supporter according to recent Gallup data. A 2022 survey by the International Republican Institute found that 94% of Kosovar Albanians had favorable views of the United States. America was among the first countries to formally recognize Kosovo as a sovereign state on February 18, 2008, and the United States remained the principal external partner in Kosovo's state-building projects, helping establish democratic institutions and promote economic development. The U.S. is the main supporter of a plan to turn the Kosovo Security Force into a modern army that can work with NATO. Meanwhile, Kosovans, or Kosovars, remain the most pro-American people in the world by a large margin. So, turns out some countries actually like Americans. Who would guess? Certainly not most YouTubers. Now, if you're asking yourself if Americans are welcoming other European countries like Italy, France, or Portugal, the situation is really not as bad as the media portrays. I made a video breaking the myth, and you can watch it by clicking this link here at your left. Enjoy my Patreon for all the sources, charts, and maps from our videos, plus a chat so I can answer your questions. Tier 2 includes my top 3 ebooks on living and returning abroad. Scan the QR codes today.